28. And we're going to have a re-kick. Now the question is, did Jacke miss the ball? Apparently he will kick the ball again.
Well, the ball blew off the tee, and it was kind of a run by it and whiff at it by the kicker, which always confuses everybody when that happens.
And it looks kind of strange, too, to see everyone running in all different directions.
Everybody's jacked up. Everybody's ready to go. And then the kicker decides, no, I just can't do it. It's the scene isn't right. The feel isn't right. And the ball's not on the tee. And nobody tells the maniacs that are covering kickoffs and trying to block them that something happened.
It's on the tee, and now it's in the air. And it's going to be Anthony Thompson on the return for the Rams. Thompson brings it out to about the 28-yard line. Let's take a look at the halftime statistics. Green Bay dominating. Look at the passing yards. This is on a day you're supposed to be running with the cold.
Well, you know, Brett Favre is coming into this game as the #4 rated quarterback. And he's a quarterback that if you have to wonder what would happen if he'd have started all 14 games the Packers played. Remember, he didn't start a game till game 4, and Bukowski went down in game 3 against Cincinnati, and that's when Favre took things over.
1st and 10 on the 28-yard line, and the first play is a pass to Flipper Anderson. And he may have enough of the first down with that big effort. Defending on the play was George Kuntz and Roland Mitchell.
And this is exactly what the Rams need to do. The Rams need to really settle down and go back to their offense. Ernie Zampese's got the offense installed with the Los Angeles Rams. It emphasizes the running game and the quarterback. And you have to emphasize your strengths, which are those two things. Let your running backs run with the ball and give Jim Everett the time to run these timing patterns out.
Remember, the Rams have had a history. Their second halves have been most prolific, and you only have to go back 2 weeks to when they trailed 27-3 at halftime in Tampa Bay and ended up winning 31-27. So they do have a comeback label. First down on the 40-yard line, and the give is to Cleveland Gary, trying to power off the right side, but Green Bay's defense covering up in a hurry. Matt Brock and Brian Noble, and a gain of only 1. What about the big comebacks in history? Add the Rams over Tampa Bay to the list.
And I was involved in that one in 1980 between the 49ers and the Saints, and believe me, it's something you never forget. That lasts forever. And what that big comeback by the Rams against the Buccaneers did is now everybody that was on that team at that time, for as long as they're on the Rams, will remember, no matter how far you get behind, there's always a chance. And believe me, if these Packers let down, Jim Everett's a quarterback that can get the ball to receivers and can score quickly.
Pat Brock shaken up, has left the game, and Don Davey is in at defensive end. Out of the backfield, they swing past to Lang. And he'll have another first down as the Rams get into Packer territory. Gain of 12 yards with Chuck Cecil on the tackle, and this is where the Packers can't go to sleep defensively. The Rams, look at what they've done in the second half compared to the first half. They've scored 171 points, so they've outscored their opposition by 40 after being outscored themselves by over 100 in the first half.
I was just going to say, Dick, I'm not a pessimist, but when you're outscored by 106 points in the first half, it tends to set up a little desperation in the second half.
Slightly. Matt Brock back in there defensively for the Packers. First down, Rams on the Green Bay 48. Chadwick is in motion, but the pass is to Ellard. And Ellard is close to yet another first down. That may be his first catch of the game. It is his first catch with Tony Bennett defending.
We've been talking Sharpe, 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 Sharpe. You know, I asked Henry Ellard yesterday, Henry, what would it be like to be in an offense where you were featured to that extent and you were the guy that was catching, you know, 80, 90, 100 and some odd balls? And he kind of smiled and got that sort of faraway look in his eye and said, that would be great. You know, I have a hard time saying this is week 15 and I've got 30 catches. There's something just kind of sticks in his craw about that.
He's had to adjust. They're moving the roll around a lot more. Cleveland Gary off the left side. Penalty marker is down. Tony Bennett brings Gary down at the 31 after a 6-yard pickup. But the penalty in holding area, and that's the call against the Rams. They've had a very nifty drive going in this first possession of the second half.
Holding. Number 61 offense, 10 yards, repeats first down.
Center Bernd Brostek, another guy we talked to yesterday.
A nifty drive. I like that, nifty. I haven't heard that in a while. That's pretty good. Unfortunately for the Rams, that was not a nifty job by Bernd Brostek, who's detected holding, but the play set up extremely well. Chuck Cecil tried to fill up and make one of those signature hits and just sort of got stiff-armed and put on the ground.
Only 4 penalties called in this game. Been pretty well cleanly played. 1st and 20 against the rush, and a big rush by the linebacker George Kuntz. I didn't see any receiver in the area where Everett threw the ball. You could call a grounding on that one.
You could, you should. It wasn't. But I got to tell you, there is nobody even close. Jim Everett, remember, the whole idea of calling a grounding like this against a quarterback is that he's throwing the ball away to escape a sack.
Well,
Mike Holmgren's the nearest guy on the sideline. He was wide open, but I don't think he was eligible for a reception.
2nd and 20. Ball just about at midfield, slightly in Green Bay territory. Everett steps up and his pass to Ellard, and Ellard makes a fine catch. It got there pretty fast for Henry, and they get a lot of that yardage back, 14 of it, with Roland Mitchell covering Henry Ellard.
Well, here's what you call a Merry Christmas catch. Because the quarterback's going back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, timing pattern, throw it out. The receiver runs his pattern, turns around and goes, whoa, there's a ball. Merry Christmas.
Henry Ellard, as you mentioned, and he's had to adjust a lot. You know, one thing he told us, he says, I've never played in snow in my entire career, and of course, he still hasn't. A lot of the Rams were looking forward to playing in what could be fun climate. 3rd down and 6 on the 34. Blitz on. Everett's pass caught by Ellard, and it's a 1st down to the 25. Buckley covering. Well, here's the go-to man in this first drive, Henry Ellard, and a gain of 9 yards for the Rams.
And they're using Ellard as a little delay here underneath. Watch him just delay and hesitate. Price clears things up the field. Terrell Buckley trying to trail behind, but you know, if Buckley's got all that speed, he's got to stay with Ellard a little bit tighter. You can't let an Ellard get ahead of you like that, or he's going to complete a lot more of those passes. Another learning experience for Terrell.
Ellard, 3 catches, 33 yards already here in this quarter. The 1st down on the 25 of the Pack. Off balance and a penalty marker down. The pass intended for Pat Carter, the tight end. Brian Noble was covering on the play. And the Rams may be hit with another holding penalty. Some of them are.
Well, look at 38 Lang arguing. You think maybe it might be against him?
Illegal use of the hands. Number 93 defense. Illegal use of the hands. 66 offense. The penalty's offset. Repeat 1st down.
Now some of the Packers. That's Robert Brown pleading his case, all of it to no avail, so offsetting penalties, and we'll replay it.
Well, when you see illegal use of the hands down there, what they refer to kind of the pit area, that's always hands in the face mask. And that's where you got it. One guy gets his hand up in the offensive lineman's face mask, and suddenly Newberry says, I don't like that, and he gets his hand up in Brown's face mask, and they throw both penalty flags, and it's offsetting, and I hate offsetting penalties.
I know, and you're right. 8th play of the drive, and the pitch to David Lang. Tell you, the LA Rams are not getting much on sweeps today. A 1-yard gain on the play. Lang shaken up a bit as the Packers really with terrific lateral pursuit here.
Well, the big hitter for the Packers is number 26, Chuck Cecil. Turn those numbers around. 62, Matt Brock comes down the line from his defensive end position and just lays a shoulder right into Lang's chops.
David Lang is leaving the field right now. He figured on a big 71-yard run in the first quarter of the game, and he's replaced by Robert Del Pino.
Everything hurts more in this kind of weather, Dick. I mean, your aches ache more, the hits hurt more, the little sprains hurt more. It hurts to catch, it hurts to do everything in the cold.
2nd down and 9, Rams on the 24. Everett can't find a receiver, and he lofts it, and it's intercepted by the Green Bay Packers, and it's Terrell Buckley with his 2nd of the game. That was simply a bad pass by Everett into coverage.
You got to throw this ball away. This has got to be a ball that goes out of bounds. But watch the job Buckley does coming in front of Ellard and gets those feet down right there. Nice job of poise. Nice job of taking advantage of a bad throw by Jim Everett.
The John Hancock Bowl, the blockbuster.
Terrell Buckley under that hood when, you know, he had less than ideal and adept days defending the pass. He looks like he has gained some ground in recent weeks.
You see, the guy congratulating there is Chuck Cecil, and Terrell Buckley's made 3 real big plays. 2 interceptions and a touchdown saving tackle on Lang.
First down, Packers on their 7-yard line. Thompson gets very little. Kelm quickly closes down after a pickup of 2 yards. Packers need a win today. It would be their 6th consecutive victory. They haven't done that since they opened the 1965 season with 6 in a row and won the NFL championship. Pittsburgh leading Minnesota 3-0. If the Steelers beat the Vikings and the Packers hold on and win, Packers will be in Minnesota to play for the NFC Central title next Sunday.
I tell you, that watermelon patch is growing in those Vikings' throats. They are doing a big-time gag right now. 2nd down and 8 on the 9, and the inside handoff
Is to Thompson, a fumble, and the Rams have recovered. So Darrell Thompson has fumbled twice today, and the first time led to the only Ram touchdown, and now a fumble, and Mike Holmgren has to be furious. Anthony Newman recovered it for the Rams, who are in golden opportunity now to get back in the game.
Not only does he have to be furious, he absolutely is furious. Some of that face color is because of the cold, and a lot of the face color is because of this play. Watch this. Never gets the ball. Ball's on the ground. Dive on it. Find it. Do something. Look at all the standing around by the guys in the green. The only ones going after it are the guys in the white. A great situation for Everett and these Rams right now.
3 tight ends for the Rams, and a play fake, and Everett, he got rid of that ball, and storming in was Matt Brock, and that should be...
Yeah, please.
That's an obvious call.
That is an easy grounding call. Why you don't pull the trigger on that, I don't know.
He got rid of the ball to avoid the sack. I don't think there could be a clearer example of that in football.
No, this is very, very blatant. Matt Brock clean through. I mean, I don't see any groundhogs with LA Ram jerseys on. There's nobody around. Come on, pull the trigger, Gordon McCarter, and throw that flag.
I see a couple with Redskin helmets, but, you know, not Rams. 2nd down and 10 at the 15-yard line. Crowd booing, and rightfully so. You saw the Packer bench. 2nd down and 10, and the pass is thrown away, really. Everett had nowhere to go. He threw it in the direction of Henry Ellard, and that'll bring up 3rd down.
Well, he threw that one away like he should have thrown the one on the last possession away that Terrell Buckley intercepted. And we've got a little tussle going on in the field and a flag down.
So we're going to have a penalty here. And if it happens to be against the Rams for some reason, that's really going to make their touchdown effort that much more difficult. And it is going to be against LA. They're going to move it all the way back to about the 31.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 64 offense, after the incompletion. The down counts, 15 yards. We go to 3rd down.
That's Gerald Perry. So right now, the Rams would even be in tenuous field goal range, I'd say, considering the cold weather and the winds we have swirling.
Well, you talk about field goals, and these balls are very hard to kick when the leather toughens up and gets hard like this. It's very difficult, and I would have to qualify this as out of Zendejas' field goal range at about 48, 49 yards.
3rd and 25, 3 receivers to the left, and Everett out of the backfield to Del Pino, trying to juke his way with 3 defenders, is dropped at about the 22 by Tony Bennett. And that'll bring up 4th down. He got 9 yards, and Zendejas comes on the field to try a field goal. Keep in mind, the Rams at one point led 10-0 early in the 2nd quarter. Big goal line stand forced the Rams to go for 3, and then the Packers responded with 4 touchdowns. This will be a 39-yard attempt with Mike Pagel holding.
The simplest things become very important in these situations. The snap and the hold are the critical part right now.
7:56 to go in the 3rd. And there's the kick. And the kick is good. Zendejas, who last year was a perfect 17 for 17, hasn't been perfect this year, but he clicks with a 39-yard field goal. Man, Mike Holmgren, who still could be seething, but the Packers are somewhat fortunate to have only seen the Rams get a field goal out of that. Penalty hurt the LA effort there. It's 28-13, but tell you what, you can't put it on the ground in your own territory, and that's what Thompson did the last time.
You cannot afford to make mistakes when you are not physically an intimidating team, and Green Bay is not a physically intimidating team. They must execute.
Squibber, and it's picked up by the front man. And it's John Jurkovic. He is so big the ball could bounce off of his chest like a goaltender in hockey, and he returned to 10 yards, and all of that means the Packers will have good field position, and they will start from the 39-yard line. 7:43 remaining in the third quarter. The final regular season Sunday. It all begins with the NFL today at 12:30 Eastern. The Packers and the Vikings could be the big showdown for the NFC Central title. Giants at Philadelphia. Some of you will see Chicago at Dallas. Pittsburgh leading Minnesota as they go to the fourth quarter, and Philadelphia leading Washington by 1 point. Packers have a first down on the 39. Brett Favre, under heavy pressure, throws the ball incomplete. Harry Sidney was the intended receiver on that play. Good pressure by Robert Young. Let's take a look at the last 4 possessions for the Green Bay Packers. They had 28 unanswered points, 3 touchdowns, and the big fumble the last time they had the ball.
And what was missing on that last possession by the Green Bay Packers is the involvement of Sterling Sharpe. When you have a key player and you have a big-time quality player and you don't have many of them, you've got to take advantage of them. You've got to find ways to work them into the offense. First half, he was in the backfield. He was in motion. Whatever it takes, you got to get him involved.
He's in the slot right now with Lewis, the outside receiver, to the left, and the handoff is to Darrell Thompson. Holding on to the ball for dear life. Sean Gilbert holds him to a 1-yard gain. You looked at the scores of the other games with Philadelphia leading 14-13. Of course, if the Eagles go on and win, the only hope for the Packers to get into postseason play would be to win the NFC Central title, so they would definitely lead a Viking loss to the Steelers. 14 degrees, -5 wind chill, and that's balmy considering what we kind of expected at this time of the day. 3rd down and 9. Packers are 4 for 6 on 3rd down tries today. Favre is going to be hit from behind and brought down. A penalty marker thrown as well. Michael Stewart gets credit for the sack coming from the blind side. A loss of 9 yards, but there is a penalty as well. And a holding call against the Rams, and that will be.
Yeah, you decline that, you make them punt, and you take the loss you've already got. But quick audible position like that on a 3-stepper.
Holding, 63 offense, penalty decline, 4th down.
3-step drop, 1, 2, 3, and he gets stepped on by James Campen, who the holding was called on as he was being bull rushed by Sean Gilbert.
Brian Wagner will kick. Emil Harry is back deep. How quiet is this crowd, considering how loud they were when Sterling Sharpe caught his second TD pass?
Well, you said the 2 magic words that haven't been involved in the offense. Sterling Sharpe. That's why they're quiet.
Harry returning and falls down. Emil Harris falls down. The Rams will have decent starting field position following the 33-yard kick. And yesterday, when they got out of their bus before practice, what else is snowball fight? They don't get a chance to do this often.
I can't say that I ever did that. I mean, when I'm in the cold, I'm trying to keep warm, and that poor cameraman had the misfortune of being descended. If I see Ernie Zampese there with the hood.
Think they went after the coaches? First down Rams on their 36-yard line with 6.5 to play in the third quarter. 28-13, the Packers lead. Everett's first pass is low and incomplete. He was going for Henry Ellard. Everett just didn't get it there. Ellard was open, and that'll bring up second down. Eagles lead the Redskins 14-13, and the Steelers still in front of the Vikings 3-0. Buffalo closing in on New Orleans.
And it's very important for Jim Everett and this Ram offense to keep focused. Keep in mind the reminders of 2 weeks ago in Tampa when they came back as they did, because with this much time left, basically a quarter and a half remaining and only down 15 points, this game is not out of reach for this offense, but they must execute.
Second down and 10. Everett's pass is caught by Price. Jim Price, the tight end, and he is very close to the first down. Terrell Buckley making the tackle as Price with his first reception of the game. Everett is 13 for 23 passing wise. Those are Price's numbers coming into this game.
And that's the kind of thing that Jim Everett's got to do. He's got to get the ball over the middle to his tight ends. He's got to keep getting the ball outside to his Andersons and his Ellards and keep this defense off balance and not attacking. Green Bay's at its best when it's attacking.
3 wide receivers on first down on the Ram 47, and it's a play fake and a good one. Everett just needs a receiver downfield, and he won't find one, and he throws it to a Packer associate on the sideline. Tell you, Green Bay did a good job downfield, also put pressure on following the good fake.
And another example of Jim Everett just throwing the ball away when he's got it into a little bit of trouble. Matt Brock was just pleading with McCarter there for a penalty. You see Tony Bennett quick under the inside on Jacke Slater, who held him and didn't get it called, and there's not a receiver within sight except for Pat Carter, but that ball was about 10 feet over Pat Carter's head.
Chuck Knox's Rams lost their first 5 road games this year, won their last 2, however, trying to make it 3 in a row, but it's an uphill climb for LA. Second down and 10, and there is the handoff to Cleveland Gary, and he dives his way into Packer territory to the 49-yard line. Will bring up third and about 6 or 7. Tim Hawk and Lester Archambault making the tackle for the Packers.
And in these nickel situations like this for Jim Everett, he's had his receivers running several crossing and underneath patterns, and almost every time a tight end type of a receiver, whether it's a Carter or a Jim Price, has been open over the middle.
Price now goes to the left. He is in the slot to the left. Ellard wide left. Third down and 6. Out of the shotgun is Everett. Still under pressure, giving ground. And the pass is again thrown away. Tony Bennett, and a late flag put down on the field.
The question here is, it is on the late hit in the Jim Everett's face, or are they finally calling Everett for a grounding?
That's it.
Yes, finally, on the 4th or 5th time they've gotten around to calling grounding on Jim Everett. Now, this is probably the least blatant violation of all of them.
I was going to say.
Because there is a receiver there. That is not the most blatant one, but, you know, things kind of even out. Life's not always fair at the right times, and sometimes you do something and don't get caught, and you don't deserve it, and that's when they call it. And listen to McCarter give us the call here.
Intentional grounding, number 11, quarterback.
You know, I agree with you.
Not a foul. Loss it down.
You know, he almost had, you know, the right idea there. Del Pino was close to the ball, but after all of those egregious missed calls on the grounding, they finally got it. UCLA, I'm sure you took some English courses there.
They're egregious. Is that when you throw it backwards?
Don Bracken will be kicking to Robert Brooks and gets off a beauty. Brooks will start from his 24-yard line, looking for running room, and will get nothing as he is hit immediately by Scott Stephen, who was a former Green Bay Packer linebacker. So we have 4 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the third quarter. It is still a 15-point lead. Here at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, there's a lonely man. Sterling Sharpe, after 8 catches for 110 yards and 2 scores in the first half, has yet to get a possession here in the second half.
Well, you see him jumping around trying to get warm, and I think reach down there and just jumble that whole Packer offense up and knock them upside the head and say, get warm, get warm. And I'm sure Mike Holmgren would love to, because the timing, as they started the first half off slow, they started the second half slow. You got to get the ball to your #1 guy.
Starting from the 26, Thompson going on the outside with his sweep, and a good gain on first down. Gerald Robinson rode him out of bounds, and a gain of 6 yards for Darrell Thompson. Vince Workman unable to suit up. They were hoping that they might get their leading rusher back in this game, but he's still out with that shoulder injury. And Thompson today has gained 35 yards on 13 carries.
Well, what this Packer offense needs, they need a back. They don't need running back by committee. They need somebody to establish himself as the #1 guy. And even with Workman healthy, I think Workman is an ideal third down type back, but he's not an every down pounded at your running back.
Second down and 4, and here's Thompson. Good acceleration on the handoff, and he is stopped just short of first down yardage. It's awfully close. Larry Kelm, the middle linebacker. Philadelphia still leading Washington with that much time remaining in the fourth quarter. Keep in mind, as far as the tiebreakers go for a wild card hope for the Packers, if the Eagles win, that's bad news for the Packers. They have to hope that the Steelers maintain their lead over the Vikings. A win for Green Bay here sets up the showdown for the NFC Central title next Sunday. They're going to measure to see whether the Pack has enough for the first down.
Well, very conservative, close to the vest type of an offense so far for Mike Holmgren and these Packers in this second half, coming out, running the ball, dumping it off. They have not been wide open. They have not been getting the ball to Sterling Sharpe. And I really happen to think that's a mistake. Do not pull your horns in now. You can't sort of let them out, let them in, let them out, let them in. You got to be yourself. And being yourself for the Packers is being wide open and getting the ball through the air to a Sterling Sharpe and holding the ball for long periods.
That was the first down for the Packers in this second half. By the way, the Vikings have tied up the Steelers 3-3. First down on the 37 for Green Bay. 3:28 remaining in the third. And Thompson looking for running room off the right side. Very little there. Roman Pfeiffer closes in, and a gain of 1. And right now, for an update probably on the Pittsburgh-Minnesota clash, here's Greg Gumbel. Greg?
Good guess, Dick. Here is the bad news for Green Bay fans. Juan Rivas from 38 yards out. It's tied at 3 with 7:08 to play in the fourth quarter in Pittsburgh, Dick.
So now the Packers have to, take care of business here, Randy, but they got to sweat out that scoreboard because a Viking victory clinches the NFC Central.
I happen to be a big believer in just win. Just get your wins and worry about what things are like after you've played 16. Don't worry about letting other people do your job.
Second down and 8, and the give this time Thompson, who comes left, and the Rams are right there. It'll be 3rd and long. Crowd a little antsy over the conservative offensive style by the Packers that goes back to their last drive.
Look at all these shoes on the sideline. Everybody's worried about, do I use cleats? Do I use rubber-based cleats? Do I do this? Do I do that? I guess when you're going to run the ball a lot, you want things on the ground, and you want the best things to work on a frozen field. But, Green Bay is running what I refer to as the 4-minute offense at the end of the game. They're running out the clock. Well, there's 2 minutes left, but it's in the third quarter. They're running the clock out in the third quarter.
3rd down and 7. Pressure on Favre, and he's going to go down again. Michael Stewart, for the second time, picks up a sack. And a safety blitz. They're going to blow it down much farther up than the 10-yard line, but it'll be still a 13-yard loss, and so Packers will have to cough it up.
Offense cannot be turned on and off. You cannot just say, well, gee, I'm going to run it for 10 plays, and then all of a sudden resurrect your ability to throw the ball. Throwing the ball is very much a timing thing. Wishbone teams do not throw it well because they don't practice it, and if you don't do it, you lose the touch, and the Packers right there just lost their clue on the pass.
Brian Wagner with the end-over-end kick, and it's picked up by Harry at the 45-yard line, and he is down by Jeff Brady. So the fumble by Thompson really has affected Mike Holmgren's offensive philosophy, because this team has gone into a shell. We haven't seen any of Sterling Sharpe, and a far cry from what we saw the Packers do in the second quarter.
Well, it's been very conservative so far. There's been an awful lot of running and very little passing going on from the Green Bay Packers. And from Mike Holmgren's standpoint, he's got to hope that his defense can stifle Jim Everett in this Ram offense right here, get his offense the ball back, and let them take some time off the clock. I don't think he's playing right now to win or score. He's playing right now not to lose.
First down Rams on their 48-yard line. Cleveland Gary gets an opening off the left side and dives forward for a Ram first down inside the 40, a pickup of 13 yards, and it was Chuck Cecil on the stop.
Well, watch the job that the offensive line does from here over on this defense and the big loping hole that develops backside in the defense. There's Bostic, the center, gets a hold of Noble, and I mean literally gets a hold of Noble and puts him on the ground with a nice little driving hold. And that's the kind of thing a Ram offensive line can do to you. You don't want to let them get their hands on you because they'll maul you.
Out of the I formation on first down from the 39. Everett's pass. And did Ellard catch it in bounds? He did. Henry Ellard with a fine catch with Vinnie Clark all over him. And another first down for the Rams. They're driving with less than a minute to go in the third quarter, trailing 28-13.
And exactly what the Rams want to do with Everett. Just get this ball out, run these timing patterns, come back to the ball as Ellard does right there. Don't do anything out of character. Don't do anything too risky. Just try to get your first down, move the chains, and get some points. The Rams are still in it.
Rice up to the left, but the swing pass is to Gary, and he's not going to get much. He'll be down at the 25-yard line, and that should be the last play of the third quarter. Burnell Dent, who's playing place of the injured Johnny Holland, the tackle, and a gain of 2. And that's the end of the third quarter. With the score, the Packers 28 and the Rams 13. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Here at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, along with Randy Cross. Pat O'Brien is with us as well. This is Dick Stockton. Packers lead the Rams 28-13. The Rams are driving, trying to get back in this game. But Randy, they need 3 scores to take the lead.
It's not out of the question for this offense, and I'm impressed with this possession by the Rams. Jim Everett's been very cool. The execution has been good. They must keep doing what they're doing. Defensively, the Packers need a break.
Second down and 8. Everett has time, and the pass is caught, and it's down to the 20-yard line. The forward progress for Henry Ellard, who caught 4 passes in the third quarter and catches the first pass on the first play here in the fourth. Noble defending.
And once again, in motion, dragging right underneath. Everything opens up as everyone else leaves, and you're matched one-on-one with the linebacker. And we've seen Sterling Sharpe on numerous occasions matched up with the linebacker, break the tackle, but Ellard was unable to there.
It'll be third down and 3 at the 20, and a timeout is called by Green Bay. Packer timeout. We'll be back.
It's giving them the life. It's giving them a little bit of a spark. The Rams need a touchdown on this possession, but they don't need it on this play. Keep the ball away from the Packer offense.
Third down and 3. A big third down play early in the fourth quarter, and the pass is caught, and a big hit, and the reception by David Lang. He held onto it despite being hit, and it was a Packer defender who was shaken up after a 9-yard gain.
And guess which Packer defender made that big hit? Yep, Chuck Cecil. Upper right part of your screen. Reads the slanting pattern and fills on the running back out of the backfield right there. Now that's when you see the guy that catches the ball gets up slow. The defender gets up slow. He doesn't want to come out of the game, but you know, after a hit like that, you're not always really quite sure, as they put the smelling salts under Chuck's nose. You don't want to come out of the game, but you're never really quite sure what game it is you're coming out of.
Same with Lang as he goes to the sideline. You know, this is a draw, that particular battle, but I don't remember when Cecil really took a hit. He's normally administered all of them. We talked about Green Bay with only 4 total yards in this half after 2:36 in the first. Tim Hawk replaces Chuck Cecil. 1st and 10 on the 12 for the Rams. And the swing pass to Cleveland Gary. And he is out of bounds after a gain of about 4 yards, or 3. Burnell Dent making the stop on Cleveland Gary. Update on the Philadelphia-Washington game. The Eagles have taken a 17-13 lead. They've added a field goal. They were up by 1 and now they're up by 4. So the Packers now, scores were in their favor before, not so much now, but they're winning their game. 2nd down and 9. Cleveland Gary leaps over a defender, fumbles, and I think the Rams still have it. Let's wait and see.
Luckily for Cleveland Gary, I think Cleveland Gary recovered that fumble. And he did. There he is on the ball, and there's the guy.
What do you think he's thinking
about? We talked about Earl Weaver having that hook. And that's what it takes to get Cleveland Gary out of the ball game for a Chuck Knox offense, and that's to put the ball on the ground. You're churning, you're trying to make things happen. But Tim Houck, playing right now for an injured Chuck Cecil, or shaking up Chuck Cecil, comes up, puts his head on the ball, and knocked that one loose.
Cecil back in the game. 3rd down and 7 coming up. Again, the Rams facing a big 3rd down play. Everett in trouble. And he throws it up in the crowd. And it comes down into the hands of Cleveland Gary, I believe. It does. And the Rams, I don't know how he completed that pass as he ate a little bit of the Green Bay real estate. A gain of 5 yards. Robert Brown was all over Everett.
Well, that's one thing about a frozen field. You don't worry too much about getting too much face mask caught up in the turf, because it isn't going to come up off the turf. But right here, this is just, talk about a prayer. Talk about an interception waiting to happen, and a great effort by Cleveland Gary. Did not get the 1st down. The Rams are not going to kick a field goal, but it was a nice effort by Cleveland Gary. And you got to think it's a timing short pattern or a swing pass for the Rams.
4th and 2. And the pass is off the hands of Jim Price, incomplete. He was there in the end zone. I don't know whether the pass was too hard or whether Price just dropped it, but the Rams have turned it over on downs to the Green Bay Packers with a golden opportunity to inch closer to the Packers.
And a nice play here by Jim Everett, just popping this ball quickly to Price, who just does not catch the ball. A golden opportunity wasted by the Los Angeles Rams.
The perfect gift because they're the perfect fit. And by Bic Twin Select for normal and sensitive skin. There's a Bic for every beard.
11:40 remaining in the 4th quarter. The Packers taking over on down, starting from the 4-yard line, and Harry Sidney moves it beyond the 5. The Rams had the ball for 9 plays in nearly 5 minutes and came up empty on that 4th down play and still trailed 28-13.
But from the Rams standpoint, if they can stop the Packers here and play a little field position with them and give the ball back to Jim Everett in that offense, they still got a chance to put some points on the board and tighten this thing up even further. The Packers have got to open up their offense. Even backed up here, what they do well is move the ball in the air, not on the ground.
2nd down and 7. And Favre is going to throw, and it's batted down at the line of scrimmage, or deflected at least. And that will bring up 3rd down. It's interesting you say about the Packers need to throw the ball. The Rams are last in the league against the rush, and the Packers have managed only 67 yards rushing. But their style, of course, is to pass, and that's what they need to do, although it's 3rd down. And a big defensive stop for the Rams is needed here.
And this is the play. You got to find a way from the Rams standpoint. If you roll the defense to him, you find at least 1 or 2 people covering, at least 2 people covering Sterling Sharpe on this play coming up here. You make sure he's not the one that beats you, and you take a chance and you send an extra player and you go after Brett Favre.
Sharpe is wide to the right, and the give is to Harry Sidney, who dives, and he may not have made it. It'll be close. Gerald Robinson, the defensive end, making the tackle, and they appear to be short by a yard.
Yeah, he didn't make it, Dick. That's 4th down, and this is a situation where they're trying not to have something bad, something negative happen, but in doing so, they're doing 2 things. One, I think they're giving the Rams life, And two, they're putting an awful lot of pressure on their own defense. They're making Ray Rhodes and his charges on the defensive side of the ball basically take this game over.
Brian Wagner will kick from his own end zone. Emil Harry is already standing in Green Bay territory. He gets off a beauty. Harry goes back to midfield. He already knows the Rams are in good field position, and he is stopped at about the 43-yard line of Green Bay. An 8-yard return. Next Sunday on CBS Sports, a big lineup. Packers and Vikings could come down to the battle for the NFC Central title. Giants go to Philadelphia with the Eagles getting ready for the playoffs themselves. And some of you will see the Bears at the Dallas Cowboys at 4 o'clock. And that's an age-old rivalry, Chicago and Dallas. Mike Ditka, Jimmy Johnson. A fine array of games coming up next Sunday, and it all begins with the NFL Today, the last word before kickoff. First down, Rams on the 42 of the Packers with plenty of time, 10:05 remaining. And Everett's first pass incomplete to Flipper Anderson, and he was defended by Vinnie Clark. Anderson caught a touchdown pass as the Rams took advantage of a Green Bay turnover to start the game. It was 10-0 Rams, and then the Packers turned it around to 28 unanswered points. Buckley with a 33-yard interception. Sterling Sharpe caught 2 TD passes before the Packers answered with the Rams, that is, with a field goal late in the third. Second down and 10. Everett is going deep. Flipper Anderson has his man beaten, but the pass a little bit too long for him. Again, Clark trailing on the play.
And Vinnie Clark was trailing by at least 2 or 3 yards behind Flipper Anderson. There's a flag on the field. We've got holding against the Rams. But here's a case
of going short,
and then saying the heck was short. We're going to stretch him. Look how far behind Vinnie Clark is. The only hope Vinnie Clark
had on that play.
78 offense, 10 yards, repeat.
Jacke Slater called for holding, and that will set the ball back into Ram territory.
But I like that call by Jim Everett in that offense. Go after him. Go for the throat. Go for the big score. And they're taking an opportunity or taking a chance here to change this momentum around. Offensively, they are the offense taking the chances. They're the offense putting the ball in the air.
Second down and 20 at the LA 48-yard line. Ellard in motion left. Up the middle, the pass caught by Flipper Anderson, and riding him down is Jeff Brady. They get some of the yards back. They get 8 back. They still need 12 for a first down.
And this puts them into a situation at 3rd and 12 where you get against a defense that's been giving you some things on the outside of the defense. I think an ideal situation now that the defense is thinking outside to get one inside, right at the seams, right up the middle. That usually means someone at the tight end position.
3rd down and 12 at the 44. Could be Pat Carter. He comes in motion left out of the shotgun on 3rd down, rolling out left, looking downfield. The pass again, Flipper Anderson, the intended receiver. The pass was a bit high. Vinnie Clark and company defending, and that'll bring up 4th down. So the Rams fail to take advantage of good field position on that series.
On that play, we talked about Pat Carter coming in motion. Watch the job he and Gerald Perry do of hooking that entire end, giving Jim Everett plenty of time, who zips it in. In fact, zips it in so well that Flipper Anderson, well past the first down marker, was not able to hold on to that. Should have been a first down, should have been a catch, but a little too much zip on that ball.
Terrell Buckley goes back deep for the Packers along with Robert Brooks. Don Bracken gets off a good kick. Fair catch called for by Buckley at the 12, and a standing ovation from the crowd.
Well, Terrell's had a couple problems this year dropping the ball in those exact situations, and the Packer crowd knows they don't need a mistake at this time. A little poached salmon. Little salmon on the old Weber there, and they'll serve with a fine white wine and everything else. Is just the only way to go post-game.
Looks tasty, doesn't it? Hope they save some for us out there. First down, Packers on the 13-yard line with 8:59 remaining in the 4th quarter, leading 28-13. Darrell, Thompson, and the pitch goes to Harry Sidney, who stopped. The Minnesota Vikings are trying a 35-yard field goal with 4 seconds remaining to try to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers and wrap up the NFC Central. The kick is good, and Minnesota leads 6-3. Is there any time left in that game? But it appears as if the Vikings have won. They have won the game, and Minnesota has won the NFC Central, beating the Steelers on a last-second field goal, 6-3. So the Packers' only hope of getting to the playoffs will be as a wild card entry, and they need the Philadelphia Eagles to lose to the Redskins. That's the story. 2nd down and 8 from the 14-yard line.
And they also need a general wake-up call for their offense to get things going here in this 4th quarter.
Brett Favre with a quick toss to Sidney, and he is wrestled down, and losing his helmet as well was Sidney, as Anthony Newman makes the tackle, and that was no gain. That's Favre's first completion, believe it or not, of the 2nd half.
And a nice job by the Ram defense. Sterling Sharpe clearing at the bottom of the screen through. You slide your fullback in the back, and you hope the fill doesn't get your back. But a good job by Newman filling up and getting a face full of Harry Sidney.
Packers have only 1 first down in this 2nd half. They're leading, though, 28-13. It'll be 3rd down and 8. Audible called by Brett Favre here. With 1 second on the clock, he just got it off in time, and Favre is going to be sacked inside the 10-yard line, closer to the 5. It was Robert Young and Kevin Green in on the play, and a loss of 6 yards stops the clock. 7:11 remaining.
This has been a completely listless performance in this 2nd half by the Green Bay offense, and has been something that's been kind of ugly to watch. You just see Washington 3rd and 10 on Philly's 20, driving down, but with that score, they've got to stick this thing in the end zone with 35 seconds left.
Packers would not win in a tiebreaker with the Washington Redskins, but would with the Philadelphia Eagles because they beat the Eagles in a head-to-head confrontation. Emil Harry is back deep, and kicking will be Brian Wagner from near the back of his end zone. And a delay momentarily. So right now, the Packers' lone hope of getting into the playoffs would be as a wild card team.
And the Packers finish up with Minnesota in Minnesota next week, and the Philadelphia Eagles finish up with the New York Giants at home. Now, which Giant team they're going to get is a matter for discussion, whether it's the one yesterday that ripped up Kansas City or the one that's not showed up for about the better part of this season.
Good question. Booming kick by Wagner, a beauty, sends the kick back, and it is down by Corey Harris, that is, at the 42-yard line. A 53-yard kick by Wagner, and a far cry from Paul McJulian early in the season. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League and CBS, and this telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Green Bay Packers, and the National Football League is prohibited. Well, you know, Randy, the Rams have had a lot of chances because the Packers offensively in their last 5 possessions, a fumble, 4 straight punts, no more than 5 plays at any one time. Everett completes to Ellard into Green Bay territory, and a first down to the 40.
And they've put all the pressure here in Green Bay on their defense. And working against that defense, things have been open outside. We talked about things opening up inside. And watch this. There's Ellard, reads the coverage and just sits down right over the middle for an easy catch and a nice gain after the catch.
The Eagles have beaten the Redskins 17-13. Bad news for the Green Bay Packers, and this long pass for Flipper Anderson is incomplete as Everett gets hit after he let go of the ball. So the Eagles beating Washington, the Green Bay Packers' hopes are dashed for a playoff berth. But you know, I think that a lot of the enthusiasm in this crowd, Randy, is not so much for what could happen this year, but the way it looks down in the future with Mike Holmgren and his staff.
Well, they've done a fine job here, and I don't think they've really lost sight of the fact they do need a lot of help here. But how great is it for this community here in Green Bay to have this team back? It's been a real pleasure being here this weekend, and just to sense and be around the excitement of having a Green Bay Packer team that's been back and is winning.
Everett's pass, and it's caught by Ellard out of bounds. Terrell Buckley making the tackle. $15-yard gain. He has 7 catches for 83 yards.
And Everett just keeps quietly piling on the yards, finding Henry Ellard, finding Flipper Anderson. He had Flipper Anderson a couple of plays ago, once again open deep. Don't forget about that. Anderson has been open now twice deep for touchdowns, and Everett hasn't been able to get it to him.
It'll be 1st and 10 on the 25-yard line. Everett back to throw. He's in trouble. And he nearly has it intercepted by George Kuntz. You know, there is one way in which the Packers could still get in, and the Redskins would have to lose to the Raiders next week. They're playing him in RFK Stadium, and by virtue, the Green Bay Packers would have an outright better record at 10-6 to 9-7 for Washington. Of course, the Redskins are playing the Raiders next week. This was the game people thought that if they were going to administer a defeat to Philadelphia, this would be it. So Washington still could be out of the playoffs, but that would constitute a win for the Packers this game and next week in Minnesota, and a loss for the Redskins against the Raiders. So in essence, they still have a heartbeat left. 2nd down and 10. And the pass is caught, and it's inside the 10-yard line. Jeff Chadwick with the reception.
But in order to maintain that heartbeat and that chance, these Packers have got to stop Jim Everett in this offense. The only things that have stopped Everett so far in the offense in this second half have been themselves.
Out of the shotgun. Everett swings it out to Robert Del Pino, who was hit at the 10-yard line, did not get out of bounds. The clock continues to run, and now it stops with 5:04 remaining. Buckley and Cecil in on the play, and there is a penalty marker down, and a penalty apparently against the Rams.
That was a nice job there by Terrell Buckley, Dick, of just breaking down the classic position and shooting things through and making that tackle. He's been criticized a lot, some by me, about not being too anxious for tackling, but it was a good job by him then.
Illegal motion, 89 offense, 5 yards, still 1st down.
That'll set the ball back to the 15-yard line. 5:04 remaining, and the Rams still need 3 scores to pull this game out.
5 minutes is plenty of time in this league for things to happen, especially with the offense Mike Holmgren's put on the field so far in the second half. They can make positive things happen for the Rams as much as the Rams can.
Pass is bobbled and caught by Ellard inside the 5-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal. This time the ball at the 4. Butler and Cecil, the 2 safeties, in on the tackle. Rams scampering back here. They were trailing 28-10.
You see some looks of genuine concern on the sidelines for the Packers. They know the momentum's now in the Rams' direction.
There's a pass lofted over Chadwick, incomplete, and in essence, Everett looked like he was throwing the ball away.
Well, you saw him sort of pointing at his chest as he looked at the sideline, so like, that one's on me, because if he puts that one a little bit lower, I think Chadwick's got an excellent chance to catch that one.
This is a college atmosphere here at Lambeau Field, and because they play 3 games a year in Milwaukee, this is the first time the fans here at Green Bay have been able to see their team since way back to October the 25th. 3 wide receivers line up to the right on 3rd down and goal at the 4. The pass is dropped. That was right in and out of the hands of Jeff Chadwick. He couldn't get a better pass.
That is the 2nd touchdown pass that's been dropped by these Rams. First, Price dropped it on the 4th down play, and there Chadwick is wide open in the slot. The top receiver in the slot right there working against Houck. Right in the face. Oh, nice pass by Everett. Was not too hard, was not wobbly, was not anything negative. That was all just a clean, clear drop by Jeff Chadwick.
4th and goal, and the Rams, who lost the ball on downs last time. And the Green Bay Packers We're going to call another timeout. That's the second timeout they have called in a goal line defensive situation.
Well, I tell you, if I'm Green Bay and I'm Ray Rhodes, their defensive coordinator, I make sure I've got that pass pattern covered. That little pop over the middle that Jim Price was wide open on last time it was 4th down. If these Rams have an opportunity, I defensively want to be sure it's on the outside and not the quick, easy one inside.
It'll be 4th down and 4, and the Packers have 1 timeout remaining.
There's the coaches for the Green Bay Packers. You can just barely see to the left. The far left gentleman with the headphone on there is Ray Rhodes, a guy that I believe will eventually in this league be an NFL head coach. He's sitting right in this area right here. Next to him right there is Sherman Lewis. But these are two guys that have made as much of an impression and as much of an impact here as Mike Holmgren. It's been a great situation here for the Green Bay Packers. I mean, you go on and on about what the guys in the field have done, but off the field, it's been the Rhodes and the Lewises, and being led by this man, Mike Holmgren, I think has done a fabulous job of coordinating things here. And there's one guy you can't ignore, is Tom Lovat, the offensive line coach, but it's all defense here.
4th and goal on the 5. Everett lost the pass to the end zone. And it's off the hands of Flipper Anderson, and the Packers for the second time here in the second half hold on downs, and Terrell Buckley is having a sensational game in his secondary position.
Well, the Packers are bringing the blitz. Here comes Brady on the blitz, and Everett does want to dump it off quick, but the Packers close off the inside of the defense and force Everett and the Rams to go outside, and there's just not enough field and too many defenders for Flipper Anderson to get this ball.
4 minutes and 12 seconds to go. Terrell Buckley with a 33-yard interception and a score. He has played, well, you'd have to say an all-rookie kind of game at cornerback today against the Rams.
Well, it's been a game that the Packer offense basically won in the first half, and the Packer defense guaranteed in the second half.
Thompson off left tackle. And the Packers now looking to use a lot of time. The Packers' chances of getting into the playoffs are still alive, but they will need some help. Packers must win this game and beat the Vikings, who have clinched the NFC Central Division title. Philadelphia won today over Washington, and Minnesota beat Pittsburgh. Packers must win this game and next week at Minnesota, and Washington or Philadelphia would have to lose, in Green Bay can still make the playoffs by virtue of record against common opponents.
And you get both those teams, in the Packers and the Eagles, finishing at 10-6, and suddenly those guys in Philadelphia start thinking back to that matchup they had with the Packers and how things went with that, and dropping that one becomes extremely critical.
Well, if Washington loses next week, they're 9-7, and Green Bay, if they win both of theirs, would be 10-6, so they would outright win it. Otherwise, if you have the 3 teams finish at 10-6, well, then you have the common opponents and the best percentage against the common foes. Of course, the best chance the Packers had would be if they were tied only with Philadelphia, because they beat them head-to-head, or had Minnesota lost today to set up the clash next week. 2nd down and 7 from the 7-yard line. Chuck Knox's Rams 5-9 on the year after winning 3 games last year. This is Knox's first game in his second stint this season as head coach of the Rams. Favre is rolling out. He'll run. And he brings it out. First down for Green Bay to the 25. The crowd loves it. 18-yard gain for Brett Favre.
And it's something finally offensively for the fans to cheer about here in the second half for the Packers. And it was just pure Brett Favre scrambling. And I always love it when a quarterback fakes the little pump action when he's about 5 yards past the line of scrimmage downfield. Maybe they'll think I'll do something like that and let it go.
And now the Rams will call a timeout. They're left with 1 timeout. That was only the second first down for the Packers here in the second half. Each team has 1 timeout left with 3:38 remaining.
And if Mike Holmgren and the Packers have their druthers, Brett Favre and their offense will not give this ball up. They will move the ball down. They'll get 2 or 3 more first downs, and they'll just end this game with the ball and just sit on it.
Here's a team that was 2-5 at one point. We saw their last loss really to the Giants on November the 8th, 27-7. And they have not lost since then. They are headed for their 6th straight victory. First time since Lombardi days in '65.
And here offensively, look for the 4-minute offense type things. A lot of very conservative passing if they happen, but mainly pounding the run inside and running out the clock.
First down. Thompson cutting up field and gets about 5 yards on the play. And the Rams are out of timeouts. They have called their 3rd timeout of the second half.
You know, Chuck Knox had an interesting formula he mentioned to us yesterday. He was talking about, you know, the first-year coaches, and everybody's caught up with, you know, Mike Holmgren and Denny Green, and who've both done excellent jobs coaching this year. But if you use the Chuck Knox formula, he says, look, Ted Marchibroda's on top, and you look at him and go, what? He says, well, his guys won 1 game last year. They've won 7 this year, so he's +6. Bobby Ross, you see, +5. Holmgren and Knox both at +2. Denny Green right now is at +1, in case you're wondering where he is at. So this puts a little bit different twist on the coach of the year, or the, you know, they don't give a rookie of the year coach, but the coaching job that all these guys have done. But, you know, there is one name missing off of those lists of great jobs by coaches, and I think a guy that's got to be mentioned, is going to be in contention, is going to be George Seifert, and the consistent job he's done with those 49ers, and the opportunity of really some controversy and some bad things that he completely forestalled.
2nd down and 4 from the 30, and Harry Sidney. And of course, you talk about George Seifert. He's had so many different quarterbacks to work with. You talked about the controversy and injuries, and how about the staff? I mean, he lost a good deal of his staff. That's changed over the years, and he's kept that machine well oiled and running.
And that's the kind of thing, that the model that these new coaches that come into this league, those are the kind of models they look at. They look at the old Cowboy organization. They look at the 49er organization. They look at the Washington organization. How you build that continuity, how you become a team that's won 10 or more games for 10 years in a row. And you do that building, really, I think from the top down. Strength and ownership, strength and management, and then you get the players, and you build that continuity and the confidence of an organization.
3rd down and 1. Thompson rushing will have the first down, apparently, to the 35. Roman Pfeiffer makes the tackle, and a loose ball after the whistle had blown. Interesting that Sterling Sharpe, who had such a brilliant first half, 8 catches, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They haven't gone to him in the second half, and he still needs 5 to surpass Art Monk for the all-time reception lead in a season. 106 catches, and he's got 1 game to do it, and that's indoors in Minneapolis next week.
On his least favorite surface of AstroTurf. They practice on it in the indoor facility here in Green Bay, and he just hates it. He goes, I practice all week on turf, and my shoulders ache, and my knees ache, and my ankles ache. And, well, Sterling, another week of turf indoors and another game turf indoors for try to get those 5 catches.
2:16 remaining in the game. It'll be a first down on the 35 for the Packers. Next week, the Eagles play the Giants, and the Redskins will play the Raiders at RFK Stadium as the clock runs down to the 2-minute warning. Pack needs to win next week and hope one of those other teams lose. After 32 years as the head trainer of the Green Bay Packers, he once was a ticket taker in the early days when Vince Lombardi came here. He did a lot of jobs, but 32 years, it's over 3 decades as head trainer of this franchise. 1st and 10 on the 35. Rams out of timeouts with 2 minutes remaining. And the Packers will just let the time go by. Packers scored all 28 of their points in the last 7 minutes of the second quarter. And Randy, in the second half, the Rams had so many opportunities to make a game of it.
Well, if you look at this thing and you say, hey, if you can hold this type of an offense to 29 yards offense in the second half, do you or do you not have a good shot at winning this football game? you would say absolutely we've got a good shot at it, but they blew so many ideal situations from the Rams standpoint. 2 touchdown passes dropped in the end zone, and when things are going good and you're on a roll, as Mike Holmgren and the Packers are now, winning 6 in a row, sometimes you can afford to make those mistakes and those kind of performances, and you still come out with a W.
And the Packers will win their 6th straight game. They had not won 6 since they opened the 1965 season with 6 consecutive victories. They will raise their record to 9-6 on the season. The Rams will be 5-10. Under a minute to go for the Rams. An improved season. They got 1 game left, and they got some people that Chuck Knox told us about. They'd like to get a wide receiver, a running back, a speed rusher, and maybe a linebacker.
Hey, it's funny when you have those conversations, everybody sort of mentions we'd like one of everything. The only thing they don't mention, though, is quarterback. Chuck Knox is happy with Jim Everett, thinks he can win with Jim Everett. He just has to surround Everett with the right type of people, much like Brett Favre will be surrounded here in Green Bay. Everett needs the go-to dangerous people at the outside, and he needs a consistent running back. There's always been good running backs at LA. 1,000-yard rushers are not unusual for the Rams. Those happen. It hasn't been since Eric Dickerson that you've had the real marquee guy.
Well, the Packers still have playoff hopes flickering. They're going to need some help. They won't win the division, but they're having a whale of a finish to this 1992 NFL season. The game is over, and the Packers have beaten the Rams. 9-6 on the year. The Vikings won. Minnesota, our congratulations for winning the NFC Central with another former 49er assistant, Dennis Green, as head man. And the Packers need to win next week in Minneapolis and get help from Philly or Washington. One of them has to lose.
And that man there, Mike Holmgren, we showed that new coach's graphic. We have to sort of partially apologize to the Packer fans. We were wrong. Holmgren at the time was not +2. He was +4. Well, Mike Holmgren is now +5 with those 9 wins, and I think has a good chance to go +6 next week in Minnesota against those Vikings.
So the final score here at Lambeau Field, the Packers 28 and the Rams 13. Stay tuned for the NFL postgame show. Greg and Terry will bring you all the scores and highlights from today's NFL action. You're watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.